Hello, welcome. It is I have returned. Anyway, this video isn't going to be too long. I'm not going to get too in depth on anything at this moment, but I mostly wanted to check in and point folks toward a podcast episode I made recently. And I will also kind of just share some of the thoughts I've had rolling around in my mind lately, and especially mention maybe some topics that I might want to get into more in depth at some point. So yeah, recently I made a podcast on another platform. Um, Mainly because the subject matter of that particular episode is not really welcome here on the YouTubes. So I didn't think it would be great to put it up on YouTube. Otherwise, I would have just, probably just played it here for you all right now. I talked to a very interesting guest who was a healthcare worker, one of those quote unquote heroes that apparently we've been told were very essential and heroic over the last few years. And she shared with me her experiences, since early 2020 with certain things that have gone on, certain policies, based on where she lived and her profession and all of that. Um, and we actually talked about our experiences, like in general, just socially and all of that, over the last few years with all of the goings on, health events and whatnot, and requirements and mandates that were put in place in certain places. It was we found it was pretty challenging for the both of us since we both happened to reside in places that were pretty on the strict side of things as far as a lot of those things went. So yeah, keeping it really vague, if you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, she has some really interesting insights to share, just the things she saw going on since 2020 and all of that. And just, you know, really opened up about a lot of, how she's been dealing with things. And so if you're interested in hearing about that topic, the link is in the description. I'll also say that, yeah, I've been kind of thinking about that subject more. I heard Kate Godina talk about it on her channel a few times. Kate is very interesting, and she has a lot of really interesting things to share with folks. And I definitely highly recommend people follow her channel if you're not already. Yeah, I've been really looking for those people out there who are genuine, because I have this unfortunate perhaps ability to really distinguish genuine people from people who are full of shit, and I'm not in a place in my life to be spending my time listening to commentators and YouTubers and whoever the fuck else who are just full of absolute nonsense. I've been really strict lately with the content that I engage with. I really don't bother watching too much anymore of a lot of different alternative or indie or whatever, or obviously mainstream sources or channels and commentators and all of that anymore. Um, over the last few years, there were definitely people that I followed a lot, and like gradually I've just been following less and less of them. I mean, I kind of came to feel that a lot of them just say the same shit over and over, and at some point I'm like, you know, I've heard this enough, like I get it, I don't need to hear this shit forever. And that's been kind of yeah, I mean that's been one of the things I've been thinking about because I've become very discriminating in like yeah what content I follow and all of that because I've like become pretty solid and pretty comfortable with like my discernment and just what I am interested in and all of that and I've found myself drifting away from a lot of things and I've found that actually helpful just personally for myself because I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just an asshole, but like I don't know. I find a lot of people just really irritating. To be honest with you, like a lot of personality types, probably most of the personality types out there, I just do not want to hear from like in any extended capacity. Like I can handle any person for a short amount of time, but I'm not gonna like sit and listen to them talk for an hour, 2 hours, or whatever the fuck. So yeah, I guess as far as searching for integrity, like you know, I definitely look for the few people out there that I can really you know connect with or just really appreciate. Like I can when I can tell that they're really genuine and they're really coming from a place that's truly interesting and not just like there to feed their own ego, not there to just like throw out a bunch of like supposed research. I mean, even a lot of like some of these researchers out there, I don't even see the point anymore. It's like I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm too like tinfoil hat, but a lot of it is just like I mean, how can you even know what's real anymore? I mean, to be honest, like maybe I am getting like so far removed, but I mean, a lot of things I don't even know like to what extent you can even really trust whatever sources or anything like that anymore. So a lot of things going on in the world or whatever the fuck in this shared reality that we have, I kind of don't even feel is that relevant to me anymore. And subsequent, and as a result of that, I just like don't care. Like I said, I'm really not into following all of that anymore. Um, I do spend a lot of time just kind of um, in my own like inner world, whatever that means. It's hard to explain, really. Maybe I can figure out a way to explain that better in the future, but I don't really have an easy way to explain it. But yeah, I've just like found over time that the more entangled with like the outside world I am, like the less I really am at ease. I don't know, like the less you know comfortable I feel. I just feel like irritated all the time by so many different things, people in the world, and like the more I've kind of accepted that and not like tried to just fight against it and or feel like I'm doing something wrong by feeling that way, the better things have become for me, and even things like dealing with mental health, whatever you want to call it, depression, all that good stuff, and even dealing with like issues I've had, with drinking in the past. I used to go to Alcoholics Anonymous and all that for a couple of years, and even that would put me in this weird place where like I hated it. I kind of like would just get irritated with it, with the people there. Um, but if you've ever gone to those, you're told that like you have to go, otherwise you'll like drink or whatever. You'll go back to whatever behavior. But frankly, like I was able to really not I was able to like kick that habit, the excessive drinking and whatnot. I was able to really overcome that like on my own, like after I really stopped yeah, after I stopped attending the meetings and all those things, and even like stopped being in touch with certain people that I met in those meetings. I don't know. It just I just was able to figure it out in a certain way, um, and that's that really goes against the things that they teach. In AA, if you're familiar with that at all, they really you know try to enforce a lot of set beliefs, and I'm really not one for static ideas or set beliefs or whatever you want to call them. So I mean that's one topic I kind of want to explore maybe, because it is interesting. I overcame a lot of mental issues on my own after I stopped going to so-called therapy, after I stopped taking the pharmaceuticals. Like things just improved a lot, and you know I'm not sure what specific things I did to make that happen. I think it's probably a combination of things, but either way, it's pretty interesting. I kind of became very introspective and very in touch with myself. You know, different parts of my psyche or whatever you want to call it. And that really changed a lot for me. And the more I distance myself from the external world has helped me for some reason. So yeah, I mean, and as far as that the topic of that podcast episode that I recently made, um, yeah, I mean that topic is I know certain folks like Allison McDowell, they don't like to focus on it, and I definitely get that. Excuse me. Yeah, I definitely get that sentiment because yeah, I don't think being fixated just on that whole health event thing in and of itself is super helpful. And yeah, being too obsessed with the medical freedom space is, yeah, I don't find that super relevant either. Those are some of the types of channels that I've really drifted away from in the last year or so. Um, yeah, I've found a lot of those people who are just really fixated on that to be not much better than a lot of the folks who are true believers in that narrative. They just have other things that they're really shitty about, and so yeah, I definitely can't blame Alison McDowell at all for not wanting to engage with a lot of those folks anymore. Because yeah, a lot of them are really full of shit. To be frank, a lot of them are just, I don't even know, just kind of repeating the same shit over and over, going in circles, and it's I don't know how many fucking times a person needs to hear the same thing. Get it? Yeah, I get it already. It's not rocket science. So I'm pretty, I have a pretty low opinion of some of those folks who just seem really stuck on one thing, but at the same time, it's still an interesting topic to discuss. Especially if you're like me and you didn't have a community to really talk about it with. If you were pretty isolated, like I have been on that. With the opinions that I have on that. Based on especially where I reside. It's not taken very well by a lot of people. So. That's definitely been a challenge over the last few years, and I know Kate has, yeah, like I said, Kate has mentioned that subject a few times, and I definitely appreciate hearing some of that. That yeah, other folks have been dealing with a lot of these things, and it's not easy. So I think there's still a good reason to sometimes talk about that and just have a place to really lay it out on the table and just yeah, I don't know, kind of just explore what's going on and how we've dealt with it. And I guess yeah, I don't have too much more to say, but you can let me know what you think if you want. If you listen to that podcast, let me know in the comments here. There's not really comments on the podcast platform. I don't think there might be on like Spotify, but I don't even use Spotify, so I really don't know how that works. Um, and also, I will just say that if anyone listening to this is interested in like just yeah having like a conversation about the topic that I was just talking about, the health event or what's been going on in the last few years, or any other topic actually, like just let me know and we can make it happen. Like I said, I really appreciate more like kind of having like a one-on-one conversation with people that I know are genuine than any other kind of media out there. So I'm definitely open to just talking with folks about stuff, and the podcast platform is a little bit easier for me to deal with technically, although um, and also especially yeah the whole concept of like what topic and certain topics don't go well with YouTube's bullshit and algorithms or whatnot either. So yeah, just let me know if you're interested in that, and I'll just leave it there. Hope you have a good morning, day, night, evening, whatever it is, and thanks for listening. Have a good one.